Welcome to part 4 of Hasbro's Stargate from 1994. Today we have the all-terrain cruiser, which is a kind of dune buggy type vehicle. It includes a shooting alien blaster. The syntax of that makes you wonder if it's for blasting aliens or if it's from an alien origin. We'll go with the former there. It's meant for fragging ancient Egyptian themed aliens. Here we got Kurt Russell armed with an Uzi, which his action figure didn't come with, but he's having a great time. Look at that. So the all-terrain cruiser is a recolored G.I. Joe Awe Striker. That's AWE Striker, which I'm sure has some kind of really forced acronym in the G.I. Joe universe. It looks like they've changed the cannon that the original came with to be a spring-loaded rocket launcher, of course. If I remember right, the Awe Striker did have some pretty cool suspension built into it, but I'm really curious to see how this will work since it was made for 3 3/4 G.I. Joe figures with the more closer to 5-inch Stargate figures if they'll even fit. The pivoting launcher blasts alien attackers, holds up to 5 Stargate figures. 5 figures? We'll have to put that to the test. According to this, without this cruiser, the Stargate team would have been stuck in the sand dunes, which it would have been, pretty useful to have something like this, but I wonder if the Stargate would actually be wide enough to accommodate a vehicle like this. Of course, if it was a modern movie, they would have just driven one out of it and they would have cut to the other side and the thing just come roaring out in CG. So if this is anything like a G.I. Joe vehicle, it's probably going to be in lots of pieces. Yep. So we've got several bags of pieces. The large chassis. I guess this would be the chassis and this would be the fairing that goes on top. The wheels that are just hollow plastic. Our Stargate themed stickers. And there's that symbol that's on a lot of the figures. Enormous missiles. Looks like one has come loose. Engine block. Here's our spring-loaded cannon, engine cover, the other missile, a tube, and instructions. They've kind of tried to make it look like this is written on a tablet for some reason, but at least they didn't try to put it into pyramid-shaped things. I do remember my mother not looking forward to putting together G.I. Joe vehicles, mostly because of the stickers, but I do have something that would have been handy for them, and that's sprue cutters. So here's step 1. This is the front suspension linkage and spindle assembly. The thing I had forgotten about these is it's not like putting together a model kit where they've numbered what each of the pieces are. It's really just a sight recognition thing and just hoping you're putting this together the right way. Step 2, we have the front and rear suspension assembly. This is interesting because this is just held on by a very small tab right here. Didn't realize how much of the assembly of these things was just bending flexible plastic until it kind of just sits in the place it's supposed to be. So this is the dashboard assembly that has the steering wheel in the smack dab center of the console. And if you look on the instructions, it shows it off to one side, which is probably what this area here was supposed to be. So I'm assuming this is the original G.I. Joe instructions, and they probably modified the center aligned steering wheel to accommodate the bigger figures. And now we have our dashboard attached with this device, which it lists as a video camera. And now the body and the chassis have been joined, and it really just is held together by this post at the front and just a couple of friction tabs in the back here. But very easy to put together. I'm a little curious about how we're going to get 5 figures into this one. Clearly there's just a one-seater now. Here is the turbocharged engine, which sits on a single post in the rear engine bay, and the engine cover, which just sits on over the top and is actually very flimsy. Kind of locks in there, but I imagine this is one of those pieces that is frequently lost or broken on a lot of original Awe Strikers. Front headlight and bumper assembly. It's just filled in with an additional piece that's just green instead of like, would have been nice to be clear. Roll bar placed on, which connects here, here, and here on both sides. Now the wheels are on. They roll nicely, and there is a bit of suspension built in there, but it's just because the straight pieces are made out of a more flexible plastic, and the wheels do turn together in the front. And there's the final assembly with the big whip antennas. I always thought these were a nice touch because it gives it kind of a military recon feel. And this tube here that connects some equipment on the roll bar to the video camera. And this huge cruise missile launcher, which has a hair trigger on it. I thought it was interesting that these missiles have the dumbbell shaped holder that was common on G.I. Joe, so I wonder if these are just repurposed as well. And here's the vehicle all stickered up. I don't really think the stickers add a whole lot to this. What G.I. Joe would do a lot was use transparency when they would do stenciled letters, so it looked like it was actually printed on the vehicle, but you can see with the Stargate stuff, it's just on this kind of crappy looking green-ish thing that I don't know if it's supposed to be like a plate or something, but it just doesn't really work for me. It kind of takes away from the look of the vehicle because it's a great design. It's just the stickers just kind of plop on there and they don't really do a whole lot. So you can see with O'Neill next to this thing, the scale is just messed up. Like it looks kind of silly with a character this large. I think the roll cage is going to make it pretty difficult to get him in there, especially because these type of figures, when they sit down, their legs splay way out. So this should be, yeah, I don't see how you can do this without taking the roll cage off. I mean, look at this. This is like a one-way trip for him. I don't know if he's ever coming out of here again. Oh, okay. I was just complaining. I guess it wasn't that bad, but it's certainly not easy, and it did knock his stupid hat off. Yeah, he doesn't sit in there super well. There's like a little hand joysticks there for them to hold, but he certainly can't hold the steering wheel. Yeah, this used to be a 2-seat vehicle in G.I. Joe, I'm pretty sure. You know, technically it does hold 5 figures, turns out. It looks absolutely ridiculous. There's only 4 good guys, so you have to, if we really want to put him to the test, you have to pull out one of the, I took out Horace here, and he's riding in the back. But as you can see, they can only fit 1 foot on the peg without, and they can't even stand sideways because their feet are too big. You know, and with the lack of articulation, there's nothing these guys can do but kind of stand straight up and down. Looks kind of like the beginning of the Beverly Hillbillies here. There it is, 5 figures. So that wraps up part 4, the Stargate All-Terrain Cruiser, which is a great looking vehicle. The stickers kind of take away from it, but it belongs in a better toy line than the Stargate. And that's where it originally came from. Yeah, I just think that the figures are too large for the scale of this vehicle. It just makes it look, it's like a smart car version of a dune buggy, I guess. Next up, we'll look at a couple more figures, and then it's the big centerpiece wing glider fighter thing. And that'll round out Hasbro's 1994 Stargate. So until then, thanks for watching.